In the dimly lit corners of ancient Europe, where mist cloaked the mountains and shadows danced across the forests, legends of dragons breathed life into the imagination of countless generations. The air was thick with stories of these majestic, fearsome creatures, etched into the very fabric of European culture. Each myth, each tale, whispered of dragons that soared through the sky, their wings casting long shadows over the lands below. These were not just stories, they were the heartbeat of a world where magic and reality intertwined. From the Celtic highlands to the Scandinavian fjords, dragons were woven into the tapestry of life. In the rugged landscapes of Scotland and Ireland, where the wind howled like a living entity, dragons were seen as both protectors and predators. Celtic myths spoke of dragons entwined with nature, their presence a reminder of the wild and untamed forces of the world. To the Celts, dragons were ancient guardians of sacred places, their fiery breath a symbol of life and destruction in equal measure. They represented the primal energies of the earth, a force to be respected and feared. Across the North Sea, the Norse tales told of dragons that were both majestic and terrifying. The icy winds of Scandinavia carried stories of Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent, coiled around the world, and Nidhogg, a dragon that gnawed at the roots of Yggdrasil, the great world tree. These dragons were not merely beasts, but were embodiments of chaos and destruction, pivotal in the cosmic struggle between order and disorder. Their presence was a reminder of the precarious balance of existence, their fates intertwined with the very destiny of the gods. In Eastern Europe, the Slavic myths spoke of dragons with a different hue. These creatures were often depicted with a more sinister edge, lurking in the dark forests and threatening villages. They were seen as embodiments of evil, their defeat a heroic feat that restored peace to the land. In these stories, dragons were not just monsters to be slain, but were symbols of the trials and tribulations that shaped the heroes who confronted them. Their fearsome roars echoed through the ages, a haunting reminder of the struggles faced by those who dared to challenge their might. Roman and Greek influences also seeped into European dragon lore. The ancient stories of dragons from these cultures mingled with local legends, adding layers of complexity to the dragon myths. In Rome, the dragon was often portrayed as a creature of immense power and wisdom, while in Greece, dragons were closely linked with the gods and heroes. These influences enriched the European dragon myths, blending classical elements with local traditions to create a diverse and fascinating tapestry of dragon lore. Medieval Europe, with its castles and chivalric codes, gave rise to new dragon legends that combined fear with fascination. Dragons became the ultimate adversaries in the tales of knights and heroes, representing the greatest challenges that could be faced. The sight of a dragon on the horizon was a call to arms, a challenge that tested the bravery and honor of those who would confront it. In these stories, dragons were not just mythical creatures, but symbols of the ultimate trials that defined the hero's journey. Dragons were also embedded in the spiritual and symbolic fabric of medieval Europe. They were depicted in religious and mythological contexts, often as embodiments of sin or evil. In Christian symbolism, dragons were seen as manifestations of the devil, their defeat a sign of divine victory over darkness. This portrayal added a moral dimension to dragon myths, making them not just creatures of legend, but symbols of the eternal struggle between good and evil. In the art and literature of the time, dragons became powerful symbols of both danger and wonder. The magnificent illustrations of dragons in medieval manuscripts captured their awe-inspiring presence, while the tales of dragon slayers echoed through the annals of history. These dragons were painted as creatures of beauty and terror, their scales glinting in the light, their eyes glowing with a fierce intelligence. They were more than mere beasts, they were representations of the fears and hopes of an entire age. As Europe moved into the Renaissance, the dragon legends continued to evolve, reflecting changes in thought and culture. The dragons of this era were often depicted in more elaborate and fantastical forms, their roles and stories becoming more complex and nuanced. They remain symbols of great power and mystery, embodying the wonder and curiosity of a world in transition. Throughout the centuries, the myths of European dragons have continued to captivate and inspire. They are a testament to the enduring power of storytelling and the timeless allure of these magnificent creatures. The stories of dragons are not just echoes of the past, but living legends that continue to stir the imagination and touch the heart, reminding us of a world where the boundaries between the real and the mythical were blurred by the fires of legend and lore. In the shadowed corners of ancient Europe, where the echoes of bygone eras still linger, dragons were not merely creatures of legend, but were woven into the very fabric of human imagination. From the earliest days, stories of dragons stirred the hearts of those who dared to dream of these magnificent and terrifying beings. These ancient tales were like fire in the dark, illuminating a world filled with wonder and fear. One of the earliest mentions of dragons in European lore can be traced back to the ancient Greeks and Romans. In the rich tapestry of Greek mythology, dragons appeared as both protectors and adversaries. The myth of the Python, a serpent-like dragon that guarded the oracle of Delphi, captivated the imaginations of many. This dragon was more than a mere beast. It was a guardian of sacred knowledge, a symbol of the divine mysteries hidden beneath the earth. The story of Apollo's conquest of Python was not just a tale of triumph, but a vivid portrayal of the struggle between light and darkness, knowledge and ignorance. Roman mythology carried forward these dragon legends with its own unique twist. The draconian figures in Roman tales were often tied to imperial power and destiny. One of the most enduring images was the dragon entwined with the fate of Rome itself. The dragon became a symbol of the empire's strength and the ultimate challenge to be faced. These early mentions of dragons were not mere fancies, but reflected the deep-seated fears and hopes of societies on the brink of great change. As the Roman Empire fell and Europe entered the medieval age, dragons continued to feature prominently in the legends and folklore of the time. The stories of St. George and the dragon became emblematic of the medieval spirit. The image of a brave knight slaying a dragon to save a princess was more than just a heroic tale. It was a symbol of the eternal battle between good and evil, courage and fear. The dragon in this story was a creature of darkness, a force that threatened to engulf the world in chaos, only to be vanquished by the light of bravery and virtue. Comparing these early European dragon legends with those from other ancient cultures reveals fascinating parallels and differences. In ancient Mesopotamian myths, dragons like Tiamat were primordial beings of chaos and destruction, embodying the untamed forces of the universe. Tiamat's battle with Marduk, the god of creation, was a dramatic clash of order against chaos, much like the Greek and Roman dragon myths, where dragons represented obstacles to divine order. In ancient Egypt, serpentine creatures like Apep, the chaos serpent, played a role similar to the dragons of Greece and Rome. Apep was an embodiment of darkness and disorder, eternally battling against the sun god Ra. The struggle between Ra and Apep was a cosmic fight that resonated with the same themes of light versus darkness that were so prevalent in European dragon legends. The dragon myths of ancient China, on the other hand, present a different picture. Chinese dragons were seen as benevolent and wise, often associated with water and rain. These dragons were symbols of imperial power and protection, contrasting sharply with the fearsome and destructive dragons of European folklore. In China, dragons were revered as bringers of good fortune and prosperity, a stark contrast to their often malevolent European counterparts. In the Celtic lands, dragons were deeply tied to the landscape and the natural world. These dragons were seen as ancient guardians of sacred places, their stories interwoven with the very essence of the land. They were protectors of the earth's mysteries and symbols of natural forces that were both awe-inspiring and fearsome. The Celtic dragons, unlike their more chaotic counterparts from other cultures, were often seen as a part of the natural order, their presence a reminder of the untamed beauty of the world. As these early dragon legends spread across Europe, they absorbed and adapted the influences from various cultures. The dragon myths of Europe were shaped by the Roman and Greek traditions, mingled with the native beliefs of the Celts and the Norse, and contrasted with the dragons of the East. Each culture added its own layer of meaning, creating a rich and complex tapestry of dragon lore that reflected the fears, hopes, and values of the people who told these stories. The ancient sources and early mentions of dragons across Europe were not merely fantastical tales, but were deeply rooted in the human experience. They captured the imagination and spoke to universal themes of struggle, courage, and the eternal battle between light and darkness. As these legends evolved, they continued to captivate and inspire, their fire burning brightly in the heart of human storytelling. In the dim glow of ancient fires, where shadows danced against stone walls, stories of serpent-like creatures stirred the hearts of those who listened. These ancient myths spoke of beings that slithered through the mists of time, evolving from simple serpents into the grand, fearsome dragons of later legends. Their transformation was not merely a change of form, but a profound shift in how humanity viewed these awe-inspiring creatures. The earliest tales of serpents in Europe were rooted in the natural world, where real serpents were feared and revered for their silent, deadly grace. These early myths didn't just describe ordinary snakes, they spoke of creatures that seemed to possess a mystical power, a connection to forces beyond human understanding. To the ancients, serpents were symbols of both life and death, representing the delicate balance between creation and destruction. As these serpent-like beings entered the realm of mythology, they began to grow in grandeur and significance. They were no longer just creatures of the earth, but were transformed into powerful entities with divine connections. In the rich tapestry of ancient Greek mythology, serpents took on monumental roles, evolving into dragons that were both magnificent and terrifying. One of the most famous of these mythical serpents was Python, the dragon that guarded the sacred oracle at Delphi. Python was more than just a serpent, it was a creature of immense power and mystery, entwined with the very essence of prophecy and divine will. The myth of Python's defeat by Apollo was not just a tale of heroism, but a powerful symbol of the triumph of order over chaos. Python's death marked the establishment of a new order, a shift from the old ways of darkness to the light of new beginnings. In Roman mythology, the influence of these Greek serpent legends continued, but with a distinct twist. The Romans took the serpentine figures from Greek myths and infused them with their own cultural symbols and meanings. Dragons and serpents became symbols of imperial power and destiny, representing both the strength and the challenges faced by the Roman Empire. These creatures were woven into the fabric of Roman identity, their stories reflecting the grandeur and struggles of a mighty civilization. The serpentine creatures of ancient Greece and Rome did not exist in isolation, but were part of a broader tapestry of mythological evolution. As these myths spread and transformed, they began to merge with local traditions and beliefs. In Europe, this fusion led to the creation of proto-dragons, beings that combined the ancient serpent-like creatures with new elements drawn from various cultures. In Celtic myths, the serpents of old evolved into powerful dragons that were deeply connected to the land. These Celtic dragons were not just creatures of terror, but were also seen as guardians of sacred places and symbols of natural forces. They were entwined with the landscape itself, their presence a reminder of the ancient, untamed power of nature. The Celtic dragons inherited the mysterious and powerful traits of their serpent ancestors, growing into beings of great significance in the folklore of the Celts. Similarly, in the Norse traditions, the serpents of earlier myths grew into formidable dragons that were integral to the cosmic struggle between gods and giants. The Midgard serpent, Jormungandr, was a giant sea serpent that encircled the world, its existence a crucial element of Norse cosmology. Its role in the mythology was a continuation of the serpent's evolution from ancient, fearsome creature to a central figure in the grand cosmic drama. The evolution from serpent to dragon was not just a change of form, but also a reflection of humanity's growing imagination and understanding of the world. As these ancient myths spread and adapted, the serpentine creatures became more than just symbols of fear, they became representations of the complexities of existence, embodying the struggle between order and chaos, life and death. The influence of ancient Greek and Roman myths on the evolution of these creatures was profound. The Greeks and Romans took the serpents of old and transformed them into dragons that represented both the grandeur and the terror of their times. These dragons were not just mythical beasts, but were deeply intertwined with the human experience, their stories reflecting the fears, hopes, and aspirations of ancient civilizations. As these legends spread across Europe, they continued to evolve, merging with local traditions and beliefs to create the rich and diverse tapestry of dragon myths that we know today. The serpents of old had grown into dragons that spanned the continents, their stories woven into the very fabric of human imagination. Their evolution was a testament to the enduring power of myth and the deep-seated need to understand and interpret the mysteries of the world. In the misty highlands of ancient Celtic lands, where the air was thick with the whispers of old legends, dragons roamed the wilds, their stories entwined with the very essence of the land. These dragons were not mere creatures of fear, but were woven into the heart of Celtic mythology, embodying both the primal forces of nature and the mysteries of the ancient world. The Celtic dragons were mighty beings, deeply connected to the land and its rhythms. They were seen as guardians of sacred places, their presence a testament to the power and mystery of nature. To the Celts, dragons were not just beasts to be feared, but were symbols of the land's untamed spirit. They were part of the natural order, representing the raw and elemental forces that shaped the world. One of the most famous dragons in Celtic mythology is the Dragon of Wales, known as Draig Gach, or the Red Dragon. This dragon was a powerful symbol of national identity and pride, its image proudly displayed on the Welsh flag. According to legend, the Red Dragon fought a fierce battle with a white dragon, representing the struggle between the forces of good and evil. The Red Dragon's victory was a symbol of hope and resilience, embodying the spirit of the Welsh people and their enduring strength. In Irish mythology, dragons also played significant roles, often tied to the land's ancient history and legends. One of the most notable dragons in Irish lore was the Dragon of the Loch Ness, a creature whose roar was said to shake the earth and whose presence was a sign of great upheaval. The story of this dragon was not just a tale of a fearsome beast, but a reflection of the turbulent and dynamic nature of the land itself. It was believed that the dragon's defeat marked the beginning of a new era, a transformation of the land that mirrored the changing fortunes of its people. Another significant dragon in Celtic legend is the dragon of the Irish hero Cuchulainn. This dragon was said to have been defeated by the hero in a dramatic and epic battle, a story that highlighted the hero's bravery and the dragon's fearsome nature. The defeat of this dragon was not just a victory over a monstrous foe, but a symbol of the triumph of courage and strength over darkness and chaos. The story of Cuchulainn and the dragon was a powerful reminder of the hero's role in protecting the land and its people from the forces of evil. The origins of these Celtic dragons are steeped in mystery and myth. They were often seen as ancient beings, connected to the land's primordial forces and the deep, hidden places of the earth. The dragons were believed to have emerged from the earth's core or from the mists of time, their presence a reminder of the land's ancient power and the mysteries that lay hidden beneath its surface. In Celtic lore, dragons were not just creatures of fear, but were also seen as symbols of wisdom and knowledge. They were believed to possess ancient secrets and powers, their wisdom deeply intertwined with the natural world. This connection to the land made them both revered and feared, their presence a reminder of the balance between the known and the unknown, the tame and the wild. The stories of Celtic dragons were more than just myths, they were reflections of the Celtic view of the world. The dragons embodied the forces of nature and the mysteries of the land, their tales a testament to the deep connection between the Celts and their environment. They were not just creatures of legend, but were integral to the spiritual and cultural life of the Celtic people, their stories echoing through the ages as a reminder of the land's ancient power and beauty. The dragons of Celtic mythology were deeply embedded in the land's history and folklore, their stories shaping the way the Celts viewed their world. They were symbols of the primal forces that shaped the land, their presence a reminder of the balance between the natural and the supernatural. The legends of these dragons are a testament to the enduring power of myth and the deep connection between the people and their land. In the frostbitten expanse of Norse mythology, where the icy winds howled through ancient forests and the thunder roared across the heavens, dragons loomed large in the epic tales of old. These dragons were not just mythical beasts, they were embodiments of primal forces, woven into the very fabric of the Norse cosmos. Their stories are dark, powerful, and filled with a raw, elemental energy that stirs the soul. Jormungandr, also known as the Midgard serpent, is one of the most awe-inspiring figures in Norse mythology. Picture a serpent so colossal that it encircles the entire world, its tail grasped in its mouth. This dragon is more than just a beast, it is a symbol of the boundless and chaotic forces of nature. Jormungandr was cast into the ocean by the god Odin, where it grew to such a size that it encircled the earth and held its own tail in its mouth. The mere presence of this serpent was a constant reminder of the fragile balance between order and chaos. The tales of Jormungandr are intertwined with the prophecy of Ragnarok, the end of the world. It is said that during the final battle, Jormungandr will rise from the ocean, unleashing a tidal wave that will flood the earth and signal the beginning of the end. This moment is both terrifying and majestic, the serpent's emergence a harbinger of the cataclysmic events to come. Jormungandr's role in these tales highlights the Norse belief in the cyclical nature of existence, where destruction paves the way for rebirth. Nidhogg is another formidable dragon in Norse lore, but its role is more insidious. Nidhogg gnaws at the roots of Yggdrasil, the world tree, a symbol of the interconnectedness of all life. This dragon represents decay and destruction, constantly working to undermine the stability of the cosmos. Its relentless gnawing at Yggdrasil's roots is a metaphor for the inevitable erosion of time and the forces that threaten the very foundation of existence. Nidhogg's presence is felt in the dark, foreboding realms of the Norse underworld, Helheim. This dragon is not just a beast of myth, but a symbol of the darker aspects of existence, of death, decay, and the inescapable passage of time. The image of Nidhogg, lurking in the shadows, brings a chilling sense of the inescapable fate that awaits all beings, reflecting the Norse understanding of the inevitability of change and the transient nature of life. The stories of Jormungandr and Nidhogg are not just tales of dragons, they are powerful reflections of the Norse worldview. These dragons embody the forces of nature, the balance between creation and destruction, and the ever-present threat of chaos that looms over the cosmos. Their roles in the mythology are crucial, as they provide a window into the ancient Norse understanding of the world and the powerful, often terrifying forces that shape it. The Norse dragons, with their awe-inspiring power and symbolic significance, stir something primal within us. They remind us of the grandeur and the terror of the natural world, and the delicate balance that holds the universe together. Their stories are etched into the ancient sagas, a testament to the enduring power of myth and the deep, elemental forces that have shaped human imagination for centuries. In the frost-kissed forests and mist-covered mountains of Eastern Europe, dragons slither through the fabric of folklore with a mystic presence that haunts and enchants. These dragons are not mere creatures of legend, but are deeply rooted in the cultural and spiritual life of the Slavic peoples. Their stories echo through the ages, bringing with them a sense of wonder and fear that stirs the heart. In Slavic folklore, dragons often appear as fearsome and mighty beings, embodying both the untamed power of nature and the enigmatic forces that shape the world. Unlike the dragons of Western myths, Slavic dragons often have a more complex relationship with humanity. They are not always depicted as purely evil or purely benevolent, but are creatures of great power whose actions can shift the balance between good and evil. One of the most striking features of Slavic dragons is their connection to the elements and natural forces. In many stories, these dragons are tied to water, particularly rivers and lakes. They are often depicted as serpentine beings with the ability to control the waters, their presence a powerful reminder of nature's unpredictable and sometimes terrifying beauty. The dragon's ability to control waters symbolizes the profound and sometimes destructive power of natural forces, reflecting the reverence and fear that the Slavic peoples held for their environment. One of the most notable Slavic dragons is Zmaj Goranik, a dragon with 3 heads and fiery breath. Zmaj Goranik is a prominent figure in Slavic tales, often depicted as a formidable adversary who breathes fire and wreaks havoc on the land. This dragon is a symbol of chaos and destruction, its very presence a challenge to the heroes who must confront it. The image of Zmaj Goranik, with its multiple heads and fiery fury, captures the fearsome and untamable nature of dragons in Slavic mythology. Another fascinating aspect of Slavic dragons is their role as protectors of sacred places or treasures. In some myths, dragons are guardians of hidden riches or ancient knowledge, their role as protectors adding a layer of complexity to their character. These dragons are not merely destructive forces, but are also seen as keepers of valuable secrets, their presence a reminder of the sacredness of what they guard. This dual nature of being both protectors and destroyers reflects the duality present in many aspects of Slavic folklore, where creatures and forces are rarely one-dimensional. Slavic dragons often have distinctive features that set them apart from their Western counterparts. For instance, many Slavic dragons are depicted as having the ability to shapeshift, transforming from their dragon form into other creatures or even humans. This ability to change form symbolizes the fluidity and unpredictability of the natural world, as well as the inherent power and mystery of these legendary beings. The dragon's ability to transform adds a layer of intrigue and danger, making them even more captivating and enigmatic. In Slavic myths, dragons are also connected to the cycles of nature and the changing seasons. They are often depicted as creatures that emerge with the changing of the seasons or as beings that are intimately tied to the rhythms of the natural world. This connection to the cycles of nature reflects the deep respect and understanding that the Slavic peoples had for the natural world, as well as their recognition of the power and influence of these ancient creatures. The role of dragons in Slavic folklore is not just about fear and awe, but also about understanding and harmony with the natural world. These dragons, with their elemental power and transformative abilities, embody the complex relationship between humanity and nature. They remind us of the raw, untamed beauty of the world and the ever-present forces that shape our existence. In these ancient tales, dragons are more than just mythical creatures, they are symbols of the deep and often mysterious forces that govern the natural world. Their stories are a testament to the enduring power of folklore and the profound connection between the Slavic peoples and the land they cherished. The dragons of Slavic mythology continue to captivate and inspire, their legends echoing through time as a reminder of the wonder and mystery that lies just beyond the veil of the everyday world. In the tapestry of European dragon legends, the threads of classical mythology are woven tightly, shaping and transforming the dragons of old into figures of immense power and mystery. The influence of Roman and Greek myths on European dragon lore is a story of transformation and fusion, where ancient tales from the Mediterranean gave rise to new and compelling legends in the northern lands. The classical myths of Greece and Rome are filled with dragons that embody both awe and terror. These dragons were more than just monstrous beasts, they were creatures of divine significance and great symbolic weight. In Greece, the dragon Python guarded the sacred oracle at Delphi, a beast of immense power that was both feared and revered. Python's defeat by the god Apollo was not just a tale of heroism but a profound shift in the balance of cosmic forces, marking the triumph of order over chaos. Similarly, in Roman mythology, dragons often appeared in the context of imperial power and destiny. The Romans inherited and adapted many of the Greek dragon myths, but with their own unique twist. The dragon became a symbol of the might and divine favor of the Roman Empire, reflecting both the grandeur and the challenges of this vast civilization. The Roman adaptation of Greek dragon myths added layers of political and cultural meaning, making the dragon a potent symbol of both imperial strength and the dangers that threatened it. As these classical dragon myths traveled northward into medieval Europe, they did not arrive unchanged but were absorbed and transformed by the local cultures. In the medieval period, dragons from Greek and Roman legends mingled with the rich tapestry of European folklore, creating new myths that reflected the fears, hopes, and beliefs of the time. The integration of classical dragon myths into medieval European culture was a process of adaptation and reinterpretation. The fierce, serpent-like creatures of Greek and Roman myths were reimagined in the medieval imagination, often taking on new roles and characteristics that reflected the evolving worldview of the European peoples. In medieval Europe, dragons were often depicted as fearsome adversaries to be defeated by noble heroes, their stories echoing the classical themes of struggle and triumph, but with a distinctly medieval flavor. One of the most striking examples of this integration is the legend of Saint George and the Dragon. This tale, which became one of the most popular dragon legends in medieval Europe, tells the story of a brave knight who defeats a dragon terrorizing a town. The story reflects the classical motif of the heroic struggle against a fearsome beast, but is imbued with Christian symbolism. St. George's victory over the dragon symbolizes the triumph of good over evil, mirroring the classical themes of heroism but within a Christian framework. The medieval European dragons, influenced by classical myths, were often depicted with attributes from both Greek and Roman legends. They were fearsome and powerful, with the ability to breathe fire and wreak havoc on the land. Yet, they also took on new characteristics, reflecting the medieval preoccupation with moral and spiritual battles. These dragons were not just physical threats, but were often imbued with symbolic significance, representing the struggle between good and evil, the divine and the diabolical. The classical dragons also contributed to the rich iconography of medieval European art and literature. The imagery of serpentine dragons with fiery breath and fearsome scales became a staple in medieval depictions of mythical creatures. This integration of classical elements into European art and storytelling created a visual and narrative continuity that linked the ancient and medieval worlds, preserving and transforming the dragon myths for new generations to marvel at. The influence of Roman and Greek myths on European dragon legends is a story of cultural exchange and transformation. The classical dragons, with their divine and imperial associations, shaped the way dragons were perceived and portrayed in medieval Europe. These ancient myths provided a framework for the creation of new dragon legends, infusing European folklore with themes of heroism, struggle, and moral meaning. In this way, the dragons of Europe became a powerful amalgamation of ancient and medieval ideas, reflecting the deep connections between different cultures and eras. The classical myths of Greece and Rome did not simply fade away but lived on in the new dragon legends of Europe, their influence a testament to the enduring power of myth and the ever-evolving nature of storytelling. The dragons of European folklore, shaped by the ancient myths, continue to captivate and inspire, their stories a bridge between the worlds of the past and the present. In the dimly lit halls of medieval Europe, where shadows danced on ancient stone walls and the flicker of candlelight revealed tales of heroism and dread, dragons took on a new life in literature. These dragons, once fierce and untamed creatures of myth, were now woven into the rich tapestry of medieval texts and romances, transforming from ancient legends into vivid literary motifs that captured the imaginations of countless readers. The medieval period saw dragons depicted with a striking blend of fearsome power and symbolic depth. In texts such as Beowulf, the dragon appears as a formidable adversary, a creature of great strength and terror that embodies the ultimate challenge for the hero. The dragon in Beowulf is not just a beast, but a symbol of the inevitable struggle between man and the monstrous forces of nature. The hero's battle with the dragon becomes a poignant reflection of humanity's enduring struggle against the encroaching darkness and the finality of death. In the epic romances of the time, dragons were often portrayed as guardians of precious treasures or sacred places, their defeat by the hero marking a significant triumph of good over evil. In the Volsunga saga, the dragon Fafnir, once a man cursed by his greed, guards a hoard of gold, his transformation into a dragon symbolizing the corrupting power of wealth. The hero Sigurd's quest to defeat Fafnir is not merely a battle for treasure, but a deeper struggle against the moral decay that the dragon represents. This transition from a mere creature of terror to a symbol of greed and corruption adds a layer of moral and philosophical reflection to the dragon's role in literature. The dragons of medieval romances are also marked by their transformation into more complex literary symbols. They are no longer just beasts to be vanquished, but are often imbued with deeper meanings. In The Dragon of the North, a tale from Arthurian legend, the dragon becomes a symbol of the hero's quest for honor and redemption. The defeat of the dragon is less about the physical battle and more about the hero's journey toward proving his worth and reclaiming his honor. The dragon in these stories serves as a mirror to the hero's inner struggles, reflecting the personal and spiritual challenges faced by the protagonist. The transition from myth to literary motif in medieval European literature is a fascinating process. As dragons moved from the realm of oral tradition and myth into the pages of written texts, they were transformed into symbols that reflected the values and concerns of the time. The dragons of medieval literature are not just remnants of ancient myths, but are carefully crafted characters that embody the fears, hopes, and moral dilemmas of the medieval world. In the literary works of the Middle Ages, dragons were depicted with an array of characteristics that highlighted their dual nature as both physical threats and symbolic figures. They were fearsome creatures with the power to bring chaos and destruction, but they also represented the struggle between good and evil, the quest for honor, and the moral lessons that the heroes had to learn. This transformation of the dragon from a mere monster to a complex symbol reflects the changing nature of storytelling and the ways in which literature can shape and reflect cultural values. The dragon in medieval literature is a creature of deep emotional and symbolic resonance. Its role in these texts is not just to provide a thrilling adversary for the hero, but to serve as a powerful symbol of the hero's internal and external battles. The dragons of these stories are imbued with a sense of grandeur and menace that captures the imagination and evokes a profound emotional response. They are not just figments of myth, but are woven into the very fabric of the narratives, shaping the hero's journeys and reflecting the timeless themes of struggle, redemption, and the eternal quest for meaning. As these dragons roared their defiance and breathed their fiery breath across the pages of medieval literature, they left a mark on the literary tradition that would echo through the ages. Their stories, filled with fear and wonder, continue to captivate and inspire, reminding us of the enduring power of myth and the transformative nature of storytelling. The dragons of medieval Europe are not just creatures of old, but are living symbols of the human condition, their legacy a testament to the power of imagination and the timeless appeal of the heroic struggle. In the shadows of ancient myths and medieval tales, dragons emerge as powerful symbols of chaos and malevolence. These creatures, with their fiery breath and fearsome scales, are not just monstrous beasts, but embodiments of disorder and evil, representing the primal forces that threaten to disrupt the order of the world. The dragon as a symbol of evil is vividly depicted in many ancient and medieval stories. In the Bible, the dragon often appears as a creature of great malevolence, embodying the ultimate evil that opposes divine order. The Book of Revelation paints a terrifying picture of a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, a beast that represents Satan himself. This dragon's role is to wreak havoc and chaos, symbolizing the dark forces that challenge the very fabric of the universe. The imagery of the dragon in this context is both vivid and chilling, a stark representation of the eternal struggle between good and evil. Medieval European perceptions of dragons were deeply influenced by these biblical depictions. In the Christian worldview, dragons became powerful symbols of sin and corruption. They were often portrayed as creatures of immense danger, lurking in the dark corners of the world, waiting to strike at the innocent and the just. These dragons were not just beasts to be feared, but were emblematic of the moral and spiritual threats that beset humanity. In medieval literature and art, dragons were frequently depicted as forces of chaos that needed to be defeated to restore order. They were shown as monstrous adversaries that heroes had to confront and overcome. The act of slaying a dragon was more than a heroic feat, it was a symbolic victory over the forces of disorder and evil. The hero's battle with the dragon was a representation of the struggle to maintain harmony and purity in a world threatened by corruption and chaos. The dragon's association with evil and chaos is also reflected in the folklore of many cultures. In these stories, dragons often hoard treasures or occupy sacred spaces, their presence a constant threat to the peace and stability of the world. They are seen as guardians of forbidden knowledge or coveted riches, their very existence a challenge to the hero's quest for justice and righteousness. The dragon's role as a hoarder of treasure and a symbol of greed underscores its connection to the darker aspects of human nature. The portrayal of dragons as symbols of chaos and malevolence had a profound impact on medieval European society. The fear and loathing of dragons reflected broader anxieties about the nature of evil and the constant threat of disorder. These myths and stories served as cautionary tales, warning of the dangers that lurked in the shadows and the importance of vigilance and virtue in the face of darkness. The image of the dragon as a symbol of evil also influenced the way that dragons were depicted in medieval art and literature. Artists and writers drew on the fearsome imagery of these mythical beasts to convey powerful messages about the nature of good and evil. The dragon became a visual and literary shorthand for the forces that threatened to undo the order and stability of the world, a symbol of the ever-present danger of chaos that had to be confronted and vanquished. In essence, the dragon's role as a symbol of evil and chaos is a reflection of the deep-seated fears and moral concerns that have shaped human storytelling throughout the ages. These dragons, with their menacing presence and destructive power, embody the primal fears of disorder and corruption that have haunted human consciousness for centuries. They are not just creatures of legend, but powerful symbols of the ongoing struggle between light and darkness, order and chaos, and the human experience. As these dragons roared and wreaked havoc across the pages of history and literature, they left an indelible mark on the cultural imagination. Their legacy as symbols of evil and chaos serves as a powerful reminder of the enduring power of myth and the ways in which stories can shape our understanding of the world and our place within it. The dragons of old continue to captivate and provoke, their terrifying presence a testament to the primal fears and moral dilemmas that have always been at the heart of human storytelling. In the pages of medieval bestiaries, dragons were not just mythical creatures but powerful symbols with deep meanings that resonated through the ages. These manuscripts, rich with illustrations and descriptions of animals both real and imagined, transformed dragons into emblematic figures of the medieval imagination, their presence a striking blend of wonder and dread. As you turn the fragile, worn pages of these ancient books, dragons appear with their fierce eyes, sharp claws, and sinuous bodies, each detail meticulously rendered to convey their awe-inspiring and terrifying nature. In these bestiaries, dragons were often depicted as monstrous beasts, their appearances varying from the serpentine to the winged, each version tailored to fit the symbolic needs of the time. Dragons in medieval bestiaries were not merely depicted as fearsome creatures. They were imbued with rich symbolism, reflecting the fears and values of the medieval world. One of the most common interpretations was that of the dragon as a symbol of evil and chaos. Its fiery breath, fierce appearance, and the devastation it caused were all seen as manifestations of sin and disorder. This portrayal was deeply influenced by Christian theology, where dragons often represented Satan or demonic forces, embodying the ultimate challenge to divine order. The dragon's symbolic meaning extended beyond mere evil. In many bestiaries, dragons were also seen as symbols of pride and greed. Their hoarding of treasure, depicted with great emphasis in illustrations, was a powerful metaphor for the deadly sins of avarice and arrogance. The dragon's lair, overflowing with gold and precious gems, became a visual representation of the dangers of unchecked greed and the corrupting influence of wealth. These images were not just about dragons, they were lessons wrapped in a fearsome guise, warnings against the moral failings of pride and materialism. The depictions in medieval bestiaries also highlighted the dragon's role as a guardian of sacred or hidden places. This motif was rooted in earlier mythologies but was given a distinctive Christian twist in medieval Europe. The dragon guarding a treasure or a holy site was not just a monster to be slain, it was a barrier between the sacred and the profane, a representation of the obstacles one must overcome to attain spiritual enlightenment or divine favor. The hero's triumph over the dragon was thus imbued with a deeper significance, symbolizing the victory of virtue over vice and the quest for divine grace. The influence of these depictions on dragon lore was profound and far-reaching. The symbolic meanings ascribed to dragons in the bestiaries shaped how these creatures were viewed in literature, art, and even religious thought. The dragon became a powerful emblem of moral and spiritual lessons, its fearsome image used to convey complex ideas about sin, virtue, and the divine order. This transformation from a mere monster to a symbol with rich moral and theological implications added layers of depth to dragon stories, making them more than just thrilling tales of heroism and adventure. In literature and art, the images and symbols from the bestiaries continued to resonate, influencing the portrayal of dragons long after the bestiaries themselves had faded into the background. The depiction of dragons as guardians of treasure and symbols of sin became a staple in medieval storytelling, their fearsome images providing a dramatic backdrop for tales of heroism and moral struggle. The influence of the bestiaries' dragon symbolism can be seen in countless stories and artworks, where the dragon's role as a symbol of evil, pride, and greed is played out in vivid and memorable ways. The legacy of the medieval bestiaries' dragons endures, their powerful symbolism continuing to captivate and provoke thought. The fearsome and majestic creatures that once roared across the pages of these ancient texts have left an indelible mark on the cultural imagination. Their symbolic meanings, deeply rooted in the moral and spiritual concerns of the medieval world, have transformed the dragon from a mere beast of legend into a profound and enduring symbol of the eternal struggle between good and evil, order and chaos. In the sweeping tapestry of European heraldry, dragons stand out as some of the most striking and evocative symbols. Their fierce, awe-inspiring presence on coats of arms and banners carries a weight of meaning that reaches beyond mere decoration, touching on themes of power, protection, and legacy. Picture a grand coat of arms unfurled in the light, its colors vibrant against the backdrop of history. At its center, a dragon sprawls majestically, its scales glinting with the gleam of ancient lore. The dragon's presence on a heraldic emblem is not a random choice, but a deliberate statement of the values and aspirations of the family or entity it represents. Dragons in heraldry are more than just fearsome beasts, they embody a rich array of symbolic meanings. Their role is deeply tied to the ideas of strength and courage. A dragon on a coat of arms signifies a formidable presence, a guardian of honor and tradition. It is a symbol of power and protection, suggesting that those bearing the emblem are not only warriors of great renown, but also custodians of noble virtues. The dragon's strength is not merely physical, but also a representation of resilience and tenacity in the face of challenges. In the context of heraldic traditions, the dragon often signifies a noble lineage or a distinguished family. Its inclusion in a coat of arms can be a testament to the valor and achievements of ancestors, a reminder of past glories and a mark of enduring legacy. The dragon's depiction as a part of a heraldic design serves to honor and perpetuate the memory of those who have made significant contributions to their communities or realms. The symbolic significance of dragons in heraldry extends to their role as protectors. Just as dragons in legends were often seen as guardians of treasures or sacred places, their heraldic counterparts symbolize the safeguarding of family honor and property. The dragon's protective qualities are a powerful assertion of the strength and vigilance of those it represents. It suggests that the bearer of the coat of arms is a defender of their realm, values, and reputation, standing watch against any threat that may arise. In some instances, the dragon's role in heraldry is also connected to the idea of transformation and renewal. The dragon, with its ability to shed its skin and emerge renewed, symbolizes the capacity for change and regeneration. This aspect of the dragon can represent a family's ability to adapt and thrive through generations, reflecting a continuity of strength and resilience despite the passage of time. The vivid imagery of the dragon in heraldry serves to capture the imagination and evoke a sense of grandeur and mystery. Each dragon depicted on a coat of arms carries with it a story, a legacy that transcends time and speaks to the enduring power of symbols in human culture. The dragon's fierce and noble presence is a reminder of the values and virtues that have been celebrated and upheld through centuries of history. When you see a dragon emblazoned on a coat of arms, you are witnessing more than just a decorative element. You are encountering a powerful symbol that speaks to the heart of what it means to bear such an emblem. The dragon's legacy in heraldry is a testament to its role as a figure of strength, protection, and honor, capturing the essence of the heroic and the noble in a way that continues to resonate through the ages. In the heart of countless tales and legends, heroes have risen to face the ultimate challenge, the dragon. These stories of dragon slayers are more than just thrilling adventures, they are powerful narratives that have shaped the very essence of European culture, embedding deep values of courage, honor, and resilience into the collective imagination. Consider the image of a lone hero standing on a rugged cliff, gazing out at a distant, smoke-filled sky. In the air hangs the tension of an impending battle, the hero's heart beating with a mix of dread and determination. Below, the dragon waits, its scales shimmering with an eerie light, its eyes burning with a fierce, ancient intelligence. This confrontation is not merely a fight, it is a clash of ideals, a moment where good battles against the embodiment of chaos and destruction. The stories of these dragon slayers are as old as the myths themselves. Figures like St. George, whose legend tells of him vanquishing a fearsome dragon to save a princess and a city, embody the ultimate heroism. His tale, rich with themes of valor and sacrifice, captures the imagination with its blend of danger and nobility. St. George's triumph is not just over a monster, but over the darkness that threatens to consume all that is pure and good. His bravery, facing down the dragon's fiery breath and lethal claws, symbolizes the enduring struggle against the forces of evil. Similarly, the tale of Beowulf, who battles the monstrous dragon in the epic poem, reflects the hero's courage in the face of overwhelming odds. This dragon, fierce and formidable, represents the ultimate test of Beowulf's strength and resolve. The hero's struggle with the beast is a poignant reminder of the fleeting nature of life and the legacy one leaves behind. Beowulf's final confrontation with the dragon is both a personal and a symbolic battle, one that resonates deeply with themes of heroism and sacrifice. These stories are not just isolated legends, but are woven into the fabric of European cultural identity. They have shaped the way societies view heroism and bravery, embedding the image of the dragon slayer as a symbol of righteousness and strength. The dragon slayer is more than a mythological figure. He or she is an archetype of the human spirit's ability to confront and overcome adversity. These tales inspire and reflect a collective yearning for courage in the face of overwhelming challenges, a desire to stand firm against the darkness that seeks to engulf the world. The influence of these dragon slayers extends beyond mere storytelling. They have become enduring symbols in literature, art, and popular culture, their heroic deeds and fierce battles resonating through centuries. The dragon slayer represents not only a mythical figure but also a timeless ideal, embodying the virtues of bravery, honor, and selflessness that continue to inspire and captivate people today. Each dragon-slaying hero carries a story that speaks to universal themes of struggle and triumph. These narratives, with their vivid depictions of epic battles and noble deeds, have left an indelible mark on European culture. They have given rise to a rich tradition of storytelling, where the clash between hero and dragon becomes a powerful metaphor for the eternal fight between good and evil, order and chaos. The heroic tradition of dragon slayers reflects a deep and enduring fascination with the idea of overcoming seemingly insurmountable odds. It captures the essence of the human spirit's quest for courage and honor, transforming the dragon from a mere monster into a symbol of the ultimate challenge. Through the stories of these heroes, we glimpse a world where valor is celebrated, and the triumph over darkness becomes a testament to the enduring strength and resilience of the human heart. In the heart of the Arthurian legends, where chivalry and magic intertwine, dragons emerge as powerful and enigmatic symbols. These majestic and fearsome creatures play a crucial role in the stories of King Arthur and his knights, adding layers of mystery and grandeur to the already rich tapestry of Camelot. Imagine the misty, moonlit landscape of ancient Britain, where the legends of King Arthur are alive in every shadow and whisper. The tales are filled with epic quests, valiant knights, and, of course, dragons, creatures that represent both the ultimate challenge and the deep magic of the world. Dragons in Arthurian legends are not merely monsters to be slain, they are potent symbols of the trials and tribulations that Arthur and his knights must face in their quest for honor and righteousness. One of the most famous dragon-related elements in Arthurian tales is the story of the dragon and the sword. In some versions of the legend, King Arthur's sword, Excalibur, is linked to the dragon through its origins. The sword's power and its connection to the dragon symbolize the blending of mystical forces and royal authority. The dragon is often depicted as a guardian of powerful, magical artifacts, and the slaying or subduing of such a beast represents a rite of passage, a test of worthiness for Arthur and his knights. Dragons also appear as symbols of the great challenges that Arthur faces. The battle with a dragon is often portrayed as a test of both physical strength and moral fortitude. These encounters are not just about defeating a beast, but about confronting and overcoming the fears and doubts that lie within. The dragon represents the darkness and chaos that must be vanquished for order and justice to prevail. For Arthur and his knights, slaying a dragon becomes a metaphor for their struggle to bring peace and prosperity to their land. In the Arthurian legends, dragons are frequently associated with prophecy and fate. Their presence often signals a turning point or a significant event that will shape the destiny of Camelot. The dragon's appearance is more than just a harbinger of doom, it is a sign that the times are changing and that great deeds must be done. The heroism required to confront a dragon reflects the deep and abiding sense of duty and destiny that drives Arthur and his companions. The legends also feature dragons as symbols of ancient power and the mysteries of the past. These creatures often dwell in remote, enchanted places, guarding secrets and treasures that are crucial to the quest for knowledge and glory. The dragon's lair is not just a physical space, but a representation of the hidden truths that must be uncovered and understood. In facing these dragons, Arthur and his knights seek not only to prove their valor, but to unlock the deeper mysteries of their world. Dragons in the Arthurian legends also embody the clash between the old pagan traditions and the emerging Christian values. As symbols of primal forces and ancient magic, dragons represent the remnants of a world that is gradually being transformed by the new ideals of chivalry and Christianity. The battle with the dragon can be seen as a struggle between the old ways and the new order, highlighting the transition from a world of magic and myth to one of structured governance and moral codes. The impact of dragons on the Arthurian tales is profound. Their presence adds a sense of epic scale and magical significance to the legends of King Arthur. Each dragon encountered by Arthur and his knights serves as a catalyst for their growth and development, pushing them to confront their deepest fears and aspirations. These tales, filled with the imagery of fierce battles and heroic triumphs, continue to captivate the imagination, reflecting the timeless allure of dragons as symbols of both danger and wonder. In the grand narrative of King Arthur's reign, dragons are more than just mythical beasts. They are integral to the stories of courage, destiny, and transformation. Their role in the Arthurian legends underscores the enduring power of these creatures as symbols of the ultimate challenge and the profound journey of heroism and self-discovery. In the dim recesses of ancient Europe, where the echoes of forgotten legends whisper through the ages, the first tales of dragons were born. These early myths, etched in the annals of history and archaeology, offer a glimpse into a world where dragons were not just creatures of fear, but symbols of power and mystery. Picture the early European landscape, rugged and untamed, a land where the unknown lurks in every shadow and every whisper of the wind. It is here, among the dense forests and craggy hills, that the earliest stories of dragons took shape. The oldest European dragon myths are rooted in the ancient cultures of the Celts, the Germans, and the Greeks, each contributing to a rich tapestry of dragon lore that has captivated imaginations for centuries. One of the earliest recorded dragon myths comes from ancient Greece. The Greeks, with their complex pantheon of gods and mythical creatures, wove dragons into their stories with great artistry. Dragons in Greek mythology were often guardians of sacred places or treasures, embodying both danger and divine power. The most famous of these early dragon myths is the tale of the Lernaean Hydra, a multi-headed serpent-like dragon slain by Hercules as part of his 12 labors. This myth, steeped in themes of heroism and struggle, showcases the dragon as a formidable adversary whose defeat brings great honor and accomplishment. Moving northward, the dragon myths of ancient Germany and the wider Celtic world present another layer of this fascinating mythology. In these regions, dragons were often seen as symbols of chaos and destruction, but also as creatures of immense power and wisdom. The Celtic dragons were frequently associated with water and natural forces, embodying the untamed and unpredictable aspects of nature. Their presence in myths often signified a trial or a test of bravery, reflecting the deep respect and fear that ancient peoples had for the natural world and its mysterious forces. Archaeological discoveries from these ancient cultures provide tangible links to these early dragon myths. Ancient artifacts such as the ceremonial helmets, pottery, and stone carvings often feature dragon-like creatures, suggesting that these myths were deeply ingrained in the cultural and spiritual lives of early Europeans. For instance, intricate carvings found in burial mounds and sacred sites depict serpentine creatures, hinting at the reverence and fear that dragons inspired. These artifacts offer a glimpse into how dragons were not just mythical beasts, but integral to the spiritual and cultural fabric of ancient societies. In the British Isles, the oldest dragon myths are deeply entwined with the Celtic traditions. The Welsh dragon, famously depicted on the national flag, has roots in early medieval myths and legends. Ancient Welsh texts like the Mabinogion contain stories of dragons battling each other and playing pivotal roles in the destinies of kings and heroes. These early Welsh dragons were often tied to the land itself, representing both the natural and supernatural forces that shaped the lives of the people. The dragon myths of these early European cultures are not merely remnants of a bygone era, they are vibrant echoes of how ancient peoples understood and interacted with their world. These myths reflect a deep-seated fascination with the power of dragons, viewing them as both a source of terror and a symbol of strength and mystery. The earliest stories of dragons capture the essence of a world where the line between the natural and the supernatural was blurred, and where dragons stood as powerful symbols of the forces that shaped human destiny. As historians and archaeologists continue to unearth and study these ancient myths and artifacts, they bring to light the rich and varied tapestry of dragon lore that has been passed down through the ages. These early dragon myths, with their vivid imagery and profound symbolism, offer a window into the ancient world, a world where dragons were more than just creatures of legend, but were deeply woven into the fabric of human belief and experience. In the icy realms of Viking Age Scandinavia, where the sea roared with the fury of the gods and the land lay shrouded in mist, dragons loomed large in the Viking imagination. These creatures were not mere figments of fantasy but powerful symbols woven into the very fabric of Norse culture and mythology. The Vikings, fierce seafarers and warriors, carried with them tales of dragons as they journeyed through stormy seas and over rugged landscapes. The dragons of Viking sagas were more than mythical beasts, they were potent emblems of strength, chaos, and the unknown. In these sagas, dragons often appear as formidable adversaries, guarding treasures or standing as the ultimate challenges for heroes. One of the most vivid portrayals of dragons in Viking lore is found in the sagas of the Norse heroes. These sagas, such as the Volsunga saga and the saga of the Skjoldungs, depict dragons not just as creatures to be slain but as symbols of immense power and danger. In the Volsunga saga, the hero Sigurd encounters the dragon Fafnir, a once great dwarf transformed into a monstrous serpent by his greed. Sigurd's quest to slay Fafnir is not just a test of bravery but also a confrontation with the dark forces of greed and corruption. The dragon Fafnir is a poignant representation of how the lure of power can transform even the noblest into monstrous beings. Dragons in Viking Age Scandinavia were not only central to heroic tales, but also played a significant role in Viking art and artifacts. The famous Viking longships, with their carved dragon heads at the prow, were more than just ornate decorations, they were symbols of protection and strength. These dragon-prowed ships, known as drakars, were believed to ward off evil spirits and ensure safe passage through treacherous waters. The dragon, in this context, becomes a guardian and a beacon, guiding the Viking warriors through the perils of their voyages. The Viking belief system, deeply rooted in Norse mythology, shaped how dragons were perceived and depicted. In Norse cosmology, dragons were often associated with chaos and destruction. Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent, encircles the world, representing the ever-present threat of chaos. This immense serpent is destined to battle Thor during Ragnarok, the end of the world. Jormungandr's role in Norse mythology underscores the dragon's association with the forces of destruction and the ultimate confrontation between order and chaos. Dragons also appear in Viking funerary practices, illustrating their deep cultural significance. The iconic Viking burial ships, sometimes adorned with dragon motifs, were believed to carry the deceased into the afterlife. These dragons symbolized not only protection in the journey to the next world, but also a powerful connection to the divine and the heroic. The elaborate burials and dragon carvings reflect the Vikings' belief in the dragon's role as both a protector and a symbol of divine power. In Viking Age Scandinavia, dragons were more than mythical creatures, they were integral to the worldview and spiritual practices of the time. They embodied the qualities of strength and ferocity that the Vikings admired, while also representing the formidable forces that the heroes of their sagas sought to overcome. The presence of dragons in Viking art, literature, and daily life speaks to their profound impact on Norse culture and the deep-seated belief in their power. These ancient dragons, fierce and awe-inspiring, remain etched in the collective memory of Viking Age Scandinavia. Their role in sagas, art, and burial customs reflects a world where dragons were both feared and revered, embodying the eternal struggle between the known and the unknown, the heroic and the monstrous. Through the lens of Viking mythology, dragons continue to captivate our imagination, representing the enduring power of myth and the indomitable spirit of the Viking warriors. In the flickering shadows of ancient Rome and the grand halls of Byzantium, dragons were more than mere monsters, they were powerful symbols of myth and might. As Roman and Byzantine cultures spread across Europe, they carried with them stories of dragons that would become deeply embedded in the fabric of European legend. Imagine the grandeur of Rome, where marble statues and opulent palaces spoke of a world where gods and mythical creatures walked alongside mortals. The Romans, with their fascination for the exotic and the fantastic, were drawn to dragon myths from the far reaches of their empire. They encountered dragon tales from the East and integrated them into their own rich tapestry of myths and legends. One of the most captivating Roman dragon myths involves the story of the Python, a serpentine monster defeated by the god Apollo. According to legend, the Python guarded the sacred site of Delphi, and Apollo's victory over the dragon marked the establishment of his oracle there. This tale of divine conquest over a monstrous serpent illustrates how the Romans adopted and adapted dragon myths, merging them with their own pantheon and cultural values. As the Roman Empire's influence waned and the Byzantine Empire rose, the dragon myths evolved and found a new home. Byzantine culture, with its fusion of Roman traditions and Eastern influences, continued to develop the imagery of dragons. In Byzantine art and literature, dragons were often depicted as formidable adversaries, representing the chaotic forces that threatened the divine order. The Byzantine dragons, with their serpentine forms and fearsome presence, became symbols of the struggle between good and evil, a theme that resonated deeply with the Byzantine worldview. One of the most enduring legacies of Roman and Byzantine dragon tales is their influence on medieval European myths. As Christianity spread through Europe, it absorbed and transformed these ancient dragon legends. In Christian tradition, dragons were often reimagined as embodiments of sin and evil. This transformation can be traced back to the classical dragon tales that the Romans and Byzantines had passed down. The dragon in the Christian narrative became a powerful symbol of the devil and the forces of darkness, a stark contrast to its earlier representations as divine adversaries or protectors. The legacy of these classical dragon tales can be seen in the medieval depictions of dragons, where they are frequently portrayed as malevolent creatures defeated by saints and heroes. This shift in perception reflects the influence of Roman and Byzantine culture on medieval European dragon myths. The heroic battles against dragons in medieval legends echo the classical themes of struggle and triumph, but are now framed within a Christian context. These tales were not just stories of heroism, but also moral lessons about the fight against evil. Roman and Byzantine dragon myths also contributed to the rich iconography of medieval Europe. The serpentine forms and intricate designs found in Roman and Byzantine art inspired the elaborate depictions of dragons in medieval manuscripts and sculptures. These artistic representations were more than mere decorations, they carried the weight of ancient stories and symbols, blending classical and medieval traditions into a seamless tapestry of myth and meaning. Through the influence of Roman and Byzantine culture, dragons became more than mythical beasts, they became symbols of the eternal struggle between order and chaos, good and evil. The tales and imagery carried forward from these ancient civilizations shaped the dragon myths that would captivate European imaginations for centuries. In the echoes of these ancient legends, we find a powerful reminder of how myths can transcend time and place, evolving and adapting while retaining their core essence. As the stories of dragons traveled from the ancient world through the corridors of history, they left an indelible mark on European culture. The influence of Roman and Byzantine dragon myths enriched the European imagination, adding depth and complexity to the tales of these fearsome creatures. Through the centuries, the dragon has remained a potent symbol, a testament to the enduring power of myth and the legacy of ancient civilizations. In the medieval world, dragons were more than just fearsome creatures of myth, they were deeply entwined with the science and exploration of the time. Imagine the fascination and terror these beings inspired, not only in the tales of the brave knights, but also in the minds of scholars and explorers trying to make sense of the world around them. As medieval scholars and explorers began to chart unknown territories, they often encountered animals and environments that were entirely unfamiliar. With limited knowledge and resources, they turned to what they knew, or what they thought they knew. This led to the blending of reality with the mythical, where the existence of dragons seemed plausible, even probable. The vast, uncharted lands were thought to be home to creatures as wild and fearsome as the dragons described in ancient texts. The early scientific literature of the time, heavily influenced by both the classical teachings of Greek and Roman scholars and the Christian doctrine, did not entirely dismiss the existence of dragons. Instead, they sought to explain these creatures within the framework of the natural world. Bestiaries, which were medieval compendiums of animals both real and imagined, frequently included dragons. These bestiaries were not merely collections of myths, but were considered to be educational tools, teaching moral lessons through the characteristics of these animals. The dragon, in this context, was often used as a symbol of chaos, evil, and sin, aligning with its depiction in Christian narratives. However, there was also a sense of wonder and awe in the descriptions of dragons. Medieval scholars described them as gigantic, serpent-like creatures with wings and the ability to breathe fire. These descriptions, while fantastical, were presented alongside accounts of real animals like lions and elephants, blurring the lines between myth and reality. The fascination with dragons was so profound that even when explorers failed to find them, the belief in their existence persisted, driven by the human desire to understand the unknown. The dragon's presence in medieval science was not just about fear, it was also about the quest for knowledge. The unknown was often terrifying, but it was also captivating. Dragons represented the mysteries that lay beyond the edges of the known world. They were the embodiment of the dangers that awaited those brave enough to venture into uncharted territories. For explorers, the dragon was a symbol of the challenges they faced as they pushed the boundaries of the medieval world. This intersection of myth and reality in medieval science highlights the period's unique approach to understanding the world. It was a time when the boundaries between the known and the unknown were fluid, and where the existence of dragons was not merely a matter of belief, but a reflection of the era's broader worldview. The blending of myth and reality in the medieval understanding of dragons reveals a time when the world was still full of wonders, and where the quest for knowledge was as much about exploring the mysteries of the mind as it was about charting new lands. In the Renaissance, a time when the world seemed to be awakening to new possibilities and rediscovering the treasures of the past, the dragon myth too began to transform. It was as if the mythical creatures that had once terrorized the imaginations of medieval Europe were being reshaped by the hands of artists, scholars, and storytellers who sought to see the world with fresh eyes. Dragons, once symbols of pure evil and chaos, began to take on more complex roles, reflecting the changing perspectives of a world in flux. As the Renaissance unfolded, art flourished in a way that had not been seen for centuries. With it came a new wave of dragon depictions, each more intricate and majestic than the last. These dragons, often depicted in the margins of manuscripts or in the grand frescoes of cathedrals, were no longer mere monsters to be slain. They became symbols of power, wisdom, and even beauty. The artists of the time, inspired by classical mythology and the rediscovery of ancient texts, infused their dragon imagery with a sense of grandeur that was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Imagine standing before a Renaissance painting, the dragon's scales glinting in the light, its eyes filled with a mysterious intelligence. This was not the mindless beast of old, but a creature that seemed almost alive, imbued with a soul. The Renaissance artists, with their newfound appreciation for the natural world and human emotion, painted dragons that were as much a part of the human experience as the heroes who battled them. The dragon was now a mirror, reflecting the complexities of human nature, its capacity for both great good and unimaginable evil. Literature too was undergoing a transformation during the Renaissance, and with it, the stories of dragons began to evolve. Writers, inspired by the works of the ancient Greeks and Romans, began to weave dragons into their tales in ways that were both familiar and new. These dragons were not just obstacles for the hero to overcome, they were integral to the story itself, representing the challenges that one must face on the journey to self-discovery. In this way, the dragon became a metaphor for the internal struggles that every person must confront, the fears, doubts, and desires that lie within. One of the most significant shifts in dragon mythology during the Renaissance was the way these creatures were portrayed in relation to knowledge and wisdom. In the medieval period, dragons were often seen as hoarders of treasure, guarding their gold with a ferocity that made them the ultimate symbol of greed and avarice. But in the Renaissance, this hoarded treasure took on a new meaning. The dragon's hoard became a metaphor for knowledge, guarded jealously by those who feared the spread of new ideas. To defeat the dragon was not just to gain material wealth, but to acquire the knowledge that could transform the world. This new perspective on dragons was heavily influenced by the Renaissance humanists, who sought to reconcile the ancient wisdom of the classical world with the new ideas of their time. They saw dragons as symbols of the unknown, the mysteries of the universe that had yet to be uncovered. In this context, the dragon slayer was not just a hero in a physical sense, but a seeker of truth, someone who dared to confront the unknown in the pursuit of knowledge. The Renaissance dragon, therefore, was not just a creature of myth, but a symbol of the human quest for understanding and enlightenment. As the Renaissance progressed, the influence of art and literature on dragon mythology became even more pronounced. Dragons began to appear in the works of some of the most famous artists of the time, such as Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. These artists, with their keen understanding of anatomy and their deep appreciation for the beauty of the natural world, depicted dragons with a level of detail and realism that had never been seen before. Their dragons were not just fantastical creatures, but beings that seemed to exist in the world alongside humans, part of the natural order of things. In literature, the influence of the Renaissance on dragon mythology can be seen in the works of writers such as Ludovico Ariosto and Edmund Spenser. Ariosto's Orlando Furioso, for example, features a dragon that is both terrifying and noble, a creature that embodies the complexities of the human condition. Similarly, Spenser's The Fairy Queen presents dragons as both adversaries and symbols of the inner demons that must be conquered on the path to virtue. These literary works, with their richly layered symbolism and deep moral questions, helped to elevate the dragon from a simple monster to a figure of profound significance. By the end of the Renaissance, the dragon had undergone a remarkable transformation. No longer just a symbol of evil, it had become a creature of immense complexity, embodying both the light and dark aspects of human nature. The Renaissance dragon was a reflection of the era itself, a time of discovery, of rediscovery, and of the constant struggle between the old and the new. It was a symbol of the human spirit, ever striving to push beyond the boundaries of the known world, to confront the mysteries of existence, and to emerge stronger, wiser, and more enlightened. In this way, the evolution of the dragon myth during the Renaissance was not just a change in the way these creatures were depicted in art and literature. It was a reflection of a broader cultural shift, a movement towards a more nuanced understanding of the world and of humanity's place within it. The dragon, once a simple villain, had become a symbol of the Renaissance itself, a time of transformation, of growth, and of the endless pursuit of knowledge and truth. Dragons, those ancient beings of fire and scale, have never truly left us. Their roars, once echoing through the myths of ancient Europe, now reverberate through the modern world, reshaped but still as powerful as ever. In today's culture, dragons have taken on new forms, yet they carry with them the weight of their old, mysterious past. They are more than just creatures from forgotten stories, they are symbols, woven into the very fabric of our imaginations, forever alive in the tales we tell. Think of the dragons that have graced our screens, from the majestic to the terrifying. They capture our hearts, not just because of their might, but because of what they represent. These dragons, though born from the ancient myths of Europe, have been given new life in our times. They embody our deepest fears, our wildest dreams, and our constant struggle to understand the unknown. The dragons of today may fly through the skies of fantasy worlds, but their origins are rooted in the legends of the past, where they were both feared and revered. Modern interpretations of dragons often reflect the complexities of our world. No longer merely evil or benevolent, they have become symbols of power, wisdom, and the duality of nature. We see them as guardians of hidden truths, as beings that challenge our heroes to grow, and as forces of nature that remind us of the delicate balance we must maintain. These dragons, while ancient, are portrayed with a depth that resonates with contemporary audiences. They are not just monsters to be slain, they are creatures with their own stories, their own desires, and their own roles in the grand tapestry of existence. In films, literature, and games, dragons have become more than just relics of the past. They are living, breathing entities that evolve with each retelling. Take, for instance, the dragons in modern fantasy epics, creatures of immense power and complexity, often serving as both allies and adversaries. These dragons are a far cry from the simple, one-dimensional beasts of ancient myth. They have personalities, histories, and motivations that make them as compelling as the human characters they interact with. It's as if the ancient dragons have shed their old skins and grown into something new, something that reflects the modern human condition. But the legacy of old dragon myths is not just confined to the realms of fantasy. Dragons have found their way into our everyday lives, symbolizing both the challenges we face and the strength we possess to overcome them. They appear in logos, mascots, and even as tattoos, their presence a reminder of the enduring power of these ancient symbols. The dragons of the past, once feared as harbingers of doom, are now embraced as emblems of resilience and courage. They are the embodiment of the eternal struggle between light and dark, chaos and order, a struggle that continues to define the human experience. In video games, dragons are often portrayed as the ultimate challenge, the final boss that tests the player's skills and determination. These digital dragons, while rendered in pixels, carry the weight of their mythological ancestors. They demand respect, not just for their power, but for what they represent, the culmination of a journey, the confrontation with one's fears, and the triumph of will over adversity. Players who face these dragons are not just battling a virtual enemy, they are engaging in a modern retelling of an ancient struggle, one that has played out countless times in the myths and legends of old. Even in literature, dragons continue to captivate us, their stories evolving with each new generation of writers. Authors today draw upon the rich tapestry of dragon lore, weaving these ancient creatures into their narratives in ways that resonate with modern readers. These dragons are not just static symbols, they are dynamic characters, integral to the stories they inhabit. They challenge the protagonists, push them to their limits, and force them to confront the darkest parts of themselves. In doing so, these dragons help to illuminate the human condition, much as they did in the myths of old. The influence of ancient dragon myths on modern media is undeniable. From the silver screen to the printed page, these legendary creatures have left an indelible mark on our culture. They remind us of our past, of the stories that have shaped us, and of the timeless themes that continue to resonate with us today. The dragons of modern culture may look different from their ancient counterparts, but their essence remains the same. They are the embodiment of mystery, power, and the unknown, and they continue to captivate us, just as they did our ancestors. In today's world, where technology and science often take center stage, dragons remind us of the magic that still exists in our imaginations. They are a bridge between the old and the new, between the known and the unknown. They challenge us to look beyond the surface, to see the world with wonder, and to embrace the mysteries that lie at the heart of the human experience. The dragons of ancient Europe may have been born in a time long past, but their legacy lives on, breathing fire into the stories we tell and the worlds we create. As we continue to explore the myths of old, dragons will always be there, waiting in the shadows, ready to remind us of the power of imagination and the enduring nature of the stories we tell. They are a testament to the human spirit, to our endless curiosity, and to our need to find meaning in a world that is often as mysterious and unpredictable as the dragons themselves. In this way, the dragons of ancient Europe have not just survived, they have thrived, growing stronger with each retelling, and continuing to inspire and captivate us in ways that are as old as time itself. In the shadows of ancient forests and beneath the rolling hills of Europe, where the mist hangs thick and the air feels heavy with age, the dragons still stir. Their scales may no longer gleam in the daylight, their wings may not beat against the sky, but they are here, alive in the stories that have been passed down through the centuries. These dragons are not mere relics of the past, they are living, breathing symbols of the mysteries and fears that have haunted humanity since time began. The journey of Europe's oldest dragon began in a world very different from our own. It was a time when the line between myth and reality was blurred, when the people looked to the skies and the mountains with both awe and terror, knowing that the unknown could hold wonders and dangers beyond their understanding. In these early days, dragons were more than just beasts. They were the embodiment of nature's untamed power, the guardians of secrets that no mortal could hope to uncover. As the years passed, the dragons of Europe did not fade away. Instead, they evolved, taking on new shapes and meanings as they were woven into the fabric of medieval life. They became symbols of chaos and destruction, but also of wisdom and protection. Kings and knights, poets and storytellers, all found in the dragon a powerful metaphor for the challenges and struggles they faced. The dragon was a mirror, reflecting the fears and hopes of a people who lived in a world that was both beautiful and terrifying. In the grand halls of castles, where banners hung heavy with the weight of history, the image of the dragon was often seen on coats of arms and shields. It was a mark of strength, of courage, and of a willingness to face whatever dangers might come. The dragon became a protector, a symbol of a legacy that was meant to endure through the ages. In these symbols, the dragon's influence could be seen, not just as a creature of myth, but as a lasting icon of European culture. But the dragon's journey was not confined to the walls of castles or the pages of medieval manuscripts. It reached into the hearts of the people, inspiring stories of heroism and bravery that would be told and retold for generations. The dragon became the ultimate test for heroes, a force that could only be overcome by those who were truly worthy. These tales of dragon slayers, of men and women who stood against the darkness and emerged victorious, spoke to the very soul of what it meant to be human. There were stories of courage, of sacrifice, and of the belief that no matter how great the challenge, it could be overcome. As Europe moved into the Renaissance, the dragon's image was reshaped once more. The age of exploration brought with it new ideas and new ways of thinking, and the dragon, once a creature of fear, became a symbol of the unknown lands that lay beyond the horizon. The dragons of the Renaissance were creatures of imagination, embodying the spirit of discovery and the desire to push beyond the boundaries of the known world. They were no longer just guardians of the past, but harbingers of a future filled with possibility and wonder. In the centuries that followed, the dragon continued to evolve, finding new life in the stories of modern times. Whether in the pages of a fantasy novel, on the screen of a blockbuster movie, or in the intricate designs of a video game, the dragon has remained a powerful symbol. It is a creature that transcends time, bridging the gap between the ancient world and the modern one, reminding us of where we came from and of the mysteries that still lie ahead. Even now, in a world that is far removed from the one where dragons first took flight, their legacy endures. They are more than just myths. They are part of our collective consciousness, symbols of the fears we face and the courage we must summon to overcome them. The dragon is a reminder that the stories of the past are never truly gone, that they live on in us, shaping the way we see the world and the way we understand ourselves. And so, the oldest dragon of Europe continues to soar, its wings casting a long shadow over the centuries. It is a shadow that we walk in still, as we navigate the challenges of our own time, drawing strength from the stories of those who came before us. The dragon's roar may have quieted, but its presence is felt in the whisper of the wind, in the rustle of leaves, and the flicker of firelight on a dark night. It is a presence that will never fade, as long as there are those who remember the old stories and find in them the courage to face the unknown. In the end, the dragon's journey is our journey, a story of survival, of transformation, and of the enduring power of myth. It is a story that will continue to be told, as long as there are those who look to the skies and wonder what lies beyond the edge of the world. The dragon, ancient and eternal, will always be there, guiding us through the darkness and reminding us that the greatest stories are the ones that never truly end.